that you can achieve. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to win the Olympics. Because before 2003, after my accident, I never thought for a second I was going to win the Olympics. I thought I was going to get a team medal in 2002 and get out. So I want to talk for just a second about peaking as it applies to my sport, because in Nordic combined skiing, cross country is probably the most important of the sports, or at least the difference that you can make in a peak. And by definition, a peak is not a sustainable thing. It's the best of your performance. It's the peak. And one of the things that has made the biggest difference in my team and my own success has been failing and learning and figuring out how to peak at the right time. And it's something that I believe that we do better than any other Nordic combined team in the world. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that our coach is a physiologist by education. He's a former Nordic combined skier. He goes to a lot of conferences with different sports, cycling, other endurance sports, cycling, running, swimming, and he takes lessons. You know, he sits down and he learns from those guys. We've gotten to the point where now, when they have an international altitude symposium, he and I present, because other people want to figure out why did these guys get so good. And the other thing he had going for him is he had a group of athletes who were willing to take a chance. And I think some of the older athletes on the team, sorry, I just did that white face climb, which I did not peak for. So, you know, this group of older athletes like myself and Todd and Johnny Spillane were willing to take a risk, try something different, and also use the experience that we've built from both our successes and our failures to figure it out. And so over the last 4 years especially, we've honed this training program so that most of the year we have a long-term training plan that we follow, but we tweak as we go, and it has to be sort of athletic in its execution, because when you're tired, you just can't train as hard as you can when you're recovered. And so everybody has their little ebb and flows. But when it comes time to peak, we have a plan that we know can take us to average to our peak in like 4 weeks. And that has a lot to do with, you know, the days that we do volume, and at the point where we start to cut our volume in terms of the time that we spend doing aerobic training, and start doing more and more intensity. And as the intensity increases, we start using supplemental oxygen, we're overreaching, and the total volume goes down to a point where it's almost frustrating. And that's, I guess, jumping ahead to here. But realistically, what we learned over the last 4 years is we do all the right work, and our best races were coming a week later than we thought they would. And so it was actually this period of rest and recovery that was evoking the peak after we've done all the homework, we've done all the work over the whole season, but especially in those final 2 or 3 weeks of training. It was then taking 2 or 3 weeks of recovery to ski the fastest that we could all year. And so part of that recovery would be don't cram for the test. Now that we have a program that we trust, we know that the most important thing that we do the last 5 days before opening ceremonies of the Olympics is either short intensity workouts or sitting on our bed, and that's it. It really, you know, and that takes time to trust. As a younger athlete, you train all the time, you train every day, and so when it's time to not train anymore to get better, it doesn't make sense. And so a lot of times people continue to do more training, harder training, thinking they're doing themselves some benefit for their penultimate test. But peaks come, I think, after you've done all the work and you have trusted in the work that you've done and the plan that you followed, and you actually allow yourself to sort of take all the learning that you've done, or take all the training that you've done, let it settle, recover, and then take the test, and then do the race, yeah. And so part of doing that was learning from our mistakes, because the first time that I peaked for World Championships, I skied really fast 2 weeks after World Championships. It kind of goes back to that whole thing. So, yeah. So the no diving thing. If anybody, this accident I keep talking about was diving into a swimming pool, and it was basically ended up, you know, of course we got higher, the tricks got bigger. Nordic guys aren't that coordinated. and I ended up cracking my skull in the bottom of the pool. And so that's the meaning of this tattoo and a lot of the lessons that I've learned over my career. So no diving has become this kind of joke on the side of my body, but it's also, it's a reminder of the incident that changed the way I did business, the way I looked at myself, and it's not really a reminder not to dive in, because I think, as a lot of these points say, anything worth winning is worth the risk of losing, and it's nearly as easy to do as something. It's nearly as easy to do something as not to. I mean, there's so many hours in a day, and you might as well be doing something with those hours. And in my experience, it's really just as easy to be doing something as to be watching TV, and the reward is always that much sweeter to have accomplished something. But the no diving thing, some of the lessons that I really feel like I've taken away from that is I have a selective memory. I've really been able to, like in thinking back to the 2002 games, like I said, for 6 months, our whole team was depressed and upset with the fact that we didn't get the medal that we wanted and that we sat down and talked about for 3 years or 4 years leading into the games. Since then, I've gotten really selective in my own head. You don't have to share this with everybody, but if you have a bad race, forget about it. There's no point in dwelling on it. Find the thing that went wrong, learn from it, move on. But when you step into the gate, or you step out onto the ice, or you get ready to take your test, just have all the good moments that you've had in the thing that you're doing right here. That's the bag of tricks you take with you. And I think that's been really important, is being able to get onto the start gate on the ski jump and only have the best jumps I've ever taken along with me, and not worry about the times I fell on my face and the times that I went short when it really counted in a World Cup. Because it's happened, but I can't remember them nearly as well as I used to be able to. One of the things that really got in the way kind of before my accident was being afraid to fail. I remember the first time I jumped in front of a World Cup, feeling hunted. I felt like all the pressure was on me to succeed for the United States of America, and if I screwed this up, I'd probably go to jail or something. You know, I mean, you know nothing's going to happen, but it's easy to take yourself so seriously that you're afraid to fail. And oftentimes that's the thing that'll get in your way of success. Because your mom's still going to love you, and your friends are still going to like you, and everything's going to be all right if it doesn't happen. And that's why it's okay. But if you really are able to compete like you're going to win, like you have nothing to lose, is when you get really dangerous. In fact, that's the thing I see the most. Like the day of the Olympics, the first day when I was 6th place or something, I jumped great every jump going into that competition. And when the comp jump came, I didn't have a bad jump, I didn't have a great jump. It wasn't the jump I'd been having, and it wasn't the one I needed. But I knew I was like, head screwed on a little tight, wanted it pretty bad, knew I could win, and competed like I had something to lose. On the last day of the Olympics, woke up late, ate bacon for breakfast, and I really went out there. I went out there relaxed and ready to win. And I know that sounds funny, but I've done all the homework, I've done all the right things, and I know that if I just relax and do what I do best, I can win. But it's really like approaching it like I have nothing to lose, and like not taking myself so seriously. Last thing, with no diving, is definitely remember to enjoy what you're doing, because going to NSA, being able to do a sport on a nearly professional level or somebody at a professional level, all these things, such an opportunity. So yeah, put your all into it, enjoy it.
So for those of you guys who don't know, Bill won in 2009 the World Championships, which you mentioned, and 2010 the Olympics, but you hadn't necessarily been winning every single race up until those points. And
it was like a slow, steady build, and that was the thing going into 2002. I won a World Cup right before the Olympics, but like in my career, I had only been on a World Cup for a couple of years, and I was all over the map, and so to expect a medal was pretty unrealistic. But going into like the last Olympics or the last World Championships, it was like 2007, or 6, I was 5, I was ranked 40th in the world, and 7, I was ranked, like 10th in the world, and 8, I was ranked 3rd in the world, and with that, individual results just got not only better, but also more consistent. I got to the point where I think in 2009, I was on the podium 10 times in the World Cup, and so it was like going into World Championships, it's like, you believe that goal is yours because you deserve it, you earned it, and it's not rushed, it's not forced. I don't know. Anybody have any questions?
First off, it's great to have you here. It's great to have you here as an example of what can really happen when somebody puts their mind to it, has the passion for it, and fulfills that passion. I think you obviously have passion for it. When you're at that year when the team got 4th, you guys were all really dejected, what did you look towards as, where was your doubt? Was your doubt in your training program? Was your doubt in your own personal skill as an athlete? What were some of the things that because a lot of times kids will go through here and they won't have the result they want, so they start to doubt a lot of things. Their ability, I'm not good enough anymore. How did you guys feel to that sort of emotion?
I think on a personal level, but also on a team level, what we saw was that we were wrapped too tight. We knew that we had taken ourselves too seriously, to be honest. Like, we knew that we'd done everything we could up until that point, and 4th place was in fact a huge success by a lot of marks, and it easily could have been a 3rd place. We gave ourselves that opportunity to be on the podium, but we weren't like nailing down. That would have been our first team medal ever in anything. So to have that expectation was kind of putting the cart before the horse. So I think fundamentally,